number 8. If there is a significant current day issue with this person that is causing resentment, so we're talking currently this is happening, address this problem instead of putting it off and hoping it will go away on its own. Address this problem instead of putting it off and hoping it will go away on its own. Don't stuff the issue. That's like putting fertilizer on resentment. When you just stuff the issue, hoping it's just going to go away, but it is like just fertilizing. And we need to be honest with the person about any significant current challenges, problems. Ephesians 4:25-27 says, "Therefore each of you must put off falsehood and speak truthfully to your neighbor, for we are all members of one body. In your anger, do not sin. Do not let the sun go down while you are still angry, and do not give the devil a foothold." And we do give the devil a foothold when we bottle it up. And some of you are conflict avoiders. I'm a recovering conflict avoider. And it's so easy to just stuff it, bottle it up, and that leads to even more toxic resentment, right? So, ask God to help you see if this issue or behavior is so harmful, so destructive to you, your marriage, your family, that you need to confront this person and ask them to make a specific change, or whether the person is simply imperfect like you are. We're going to go to step number 9. Once you've addressed issues with the person about any ongoing, current, sinful or harmful behavior, if you still have lingering resentment from old wounds or from this person's imperfections, you must choose to forgive them for being imperfect. Just like you want to be forgiven, you must choose to forgive them. Ephesians 4:31 and 32, key verse. Get rid of all bitterness, that's a fancy word for resentment. Get rid of all bitterness, rage and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. So it is not a suggestion by God, it is actually a command of God that we forgive those, even those who have hurt us. But let me expand on this concept of forgiveness, because I think it's very misunderstood. Whether or not the person has apologized or even stopped the wrong behavior, we still need to forgive them in the sense of releasing them from our condemnation, superior attitude, and a desire to punish them for what they've done. Did you catch that? Whether or not they've apologized or even stopped the behavior, we need to forgive them in the sense of releasing them from our condemnation, superior attitude, and a desire to punish them for what they've done. The reason I know that we're supposed to act this way is because Romans 12 really lays it out for us. Do not repay anyone evil for evil. Be careful to do what is right in the eyes of everyone. If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Do not take revenge, my dear friends, but leave room for God's wrath, for it is written, "It is mine to avenge. I will repay," says the Lord. Okay, so we're clear on that part. However, if they have never repented, and repenting is a fancy word for turning completely away from the wrong behavior and going a new direction. So if they've never repented, and especially if they're continuing to engage in wrong behavior that's harmful to you or your loved ones, you may need to establish boundaries and hold them at a distance in the relationship. Right? You may need to hold them at a distance in the relationship. The reason I say that is because of Proverbs 4:23, which says, "Above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life." So we forgive them in the sense that we no longer have the superior attitude where we're condemning them and trying to punish them. But if they're still actively sinning against us, they're not repentant, they're not trying to turn the ship around and go a new direction, in order to protect your heart, or your children's hearts, or whatever's going on, you may need to establish some really serious boundaries and may even separate yourself from them. Again, we have to do this, because if we don't, we will end up poisoning ourselves with toxic resentment. Number 10, resist the urge to keep replaying the incident in your mind. Stubbornly choose a hopeful, forward gaze, and ask the Lord or godly mentors to show you specific steps you can take to build a healthy new future for yourself. So the blank there was a hopeful forward gaze. Because sometimes, in fact, let's just be honest, often we replay the incident over and over and over and over and over. I know it's like we're neurotic and obsessed with replaying it. I don't know why, because we just keep on feeling the pain over and over again, but we sometimes get stuck in that replay loop, and then we start blaming the other person for our miserable, horrible life and all of our dysfunction, and if it wasn't for them, and it's just like a vicious cycle, and it never ends well when we stay stuck in that replay loop. And we take on a victim identity then. Any of us ever done that before? I know I've done that before. Take on this victim identity and you can't move forward. None of this is helpful. Philippians 3, starting in verse 13, says, "Brothers and sisters, I do not consider myself yet to have taken hold of it, but one thing I do, forgetting what is behind and straining toward what is ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me heavenward in Christ Jesus." A helpful phrase to keep repeating is based on Genesis 50, verse 20. It's the end of the story of Joseph. And I'm just going to rephrase this. You can look up the verse for yourself. But this is something I like to repeat over and over again in really difficult situations. The enemy meant for this to destroy me. But I can't wait to see how God is going to turn this into something good. And number 11. You're not going to want to do this. But it works if you want to get rid of toxic resentment. Pray for the person you have resented for at least 30 days straight. This works. And I don't mean like pray that they suffer. No, that's not the kind of prayer I'm talking about. You're like, oh sure, I'll pray that prayer. You got all over that. No, you're praying for this person that they would come closer to Christ, that they would be blessed, that they would sense God's love in their life, that God would heal them from their insecurities and their fears and all of their issues. You're praying for them to be blessed, and you would be amazed. If you're serious about uprooting toxic resentment, just try this alone, and it starts to change your heart.